I'm going to give you a little structure about to unlearn and reprogram. And this is something we're going to revisit throughout because I find this to be invaluable for really understanding. It's a model of how the mind works. Underneath your subconscious is something what we call the unconscious mind that's protected. Now in here, there's all kinds of epigenetics and generational trauma. And you'll hear it explained, and this is kind of the mystical world that your DNA, whether you like it or not, is just information. It's just energy. And it's giving you a belief system, whether you like it or not. Your mother and father's belief system, their parents, on and on and on. This is protected at all costs because this is identity. This is who I am. And when you come into the world and your mother and father, and depending on all the different relationships in the community and everything, and not all of us have that same relationship with our mother or father or community. And that's where we need to meet people where they are, because this is not the same for any one of us. The DNA is all the things, scientifically are, that we look just like the stars, just like our atoms inside, but somewhere along the way, there became these beliefs that actually drive us. And they're protected. Then we get into our subconscious mind, which are patterns and habits. Part of habits and patterns is to start to recognize, to be conscious of those. In your subconscious mind, this is a mediator that protects this unconscious mind. So to reprogram anything, one, you have to reprogram it from the conscious mind. And we'll get there in a second here. But then there's the preconscious mind, which is our intuition. Now, intuition, every day under this line, this is all automatic. We don't think about this. We can only reprogram it from thoughts we have. Or if we want to reprogram it fast, we do it from emotions. And it's why most people, including my own journey to health, and it's not as drastic as people would think, but 2018, 19, I got sleep apnea, which really was just related to gaining weight. That was what the meaning I gave it. That was enough pain to know that, okay, I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to be tired all the time. I got to wear this thing. That I changed all my habits. I weighed 310 pounds. I now weigh 215, 220 pounds. But it was literally just that thing, that insight that I had from my thoughts and feelings is that I'm not going to have a feeling that I got to, one, because my mom and dad both have sleep apnea. They both sleep in different rooms. One sleeps in a chair. And I was like, I don't want this. And I'm going to tell you, I reprogrammed the label and I don't have sleep apnea. I sleep through the night like a baby and everything. And it's just a belief system, but it also was just that I made the changes I needed to make, which every doctor would tell you. In fact, in the book, I use this analogy is the world is much like your own body. Your body tells you when you're not doing things right to it with heartburn and rashes and different things. So you don't listen to it. And then what you resist persists is actually heartburn medicine makes you get more heartburn. Like it's scientifically proven. It's literally weakens it down. It masks it, but it weakens it. So then you get easier and easier. So like Larry, the cable guy that would come on the television, like, eat more wings, just have some. And I forget what he did, but he would always get on the television with Zantac. Yeah. He's like, just take these, But it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it really is a lot of medications. And I won't say that all medications, I'm not saying big pharma, our holistic system, our body produces 1,600 chemicals that really can heal a lot of different things. And it also just starts in the brain. And most of our ailments are from a couple of different things. One is stress that we put on ourselves because how we think. And the other I would say is, and I really just got clear on this, honestly, just about a week ago, is on breathing. And I think a lot of, and I've been doing cold plunges and cardio and different things, and you realize all that does is disease is absent in oxygen. So if you can pour more oxygen into you, and there's like a lot of science into this, then you can eliminate disease. And part of that is you look at people that are in poor health, they're not getting much oxygen. Not very many of them are doing yoga and breath work and meditation, which all have implications of just breathing. And the one thing that we all have to do, or we all die, really in like 5 minutes, and that's right down here, is in this, we're protected, is breathing. We don't ever have to think about breathing. When we start thinking about it, then it becomes stress and anxiety and worries. And then we're disrupting this shit way down here. And now what we're doing is we're reprogramming everything. Everything starts. As you see this filters down, and I'll build up the model, is everyday reality is environmental factors, is we all have relationships. Some good, some not so good, some toxic, some non-toxic. You choose who you want relationships with and how you relate to those relationships. Meaning and purpose. Like, what is the meaning we have in what we do? It's just proven, and I would just say, my next door neighbor was a stockbroker, Mr. Vollmer. Until 81, he was a stockbroker. He retired and died the next day at a retirement party, and he died. And his wife had Alzheimer's, and then I was Mr. Vollmer to his wife. Got kind of weird. She'd always come over and get me for dinner. But in his mind, I think, and I just say this, is that he grew and he had a purpose, and he's like, I have no purpose. And I keep it that my own parents, my mom, who's 75, just fell last week, taking care of my son, is her purpose was to take care of my son. And I'm like, this is really good for her. I'm a little scared about her future. One, that she just had an injury, but she had a lot of purpose. And I think it's important that we all kind of recognize that when you see people that have mental health issues, it's really around meaning and purpose in their life more than anything. Because they make meaning that something's negative or toxic, and it comes to self-talk and all these things. And we're going to get into that, because it really comes to being a leader, because you're not able to lead people if you're not able to lead yourself. Like, it's that inauthentic leadership that you just show up and you're like, hey, it's always like the doctor that weighs 300 pounds. You're just like, how am I supposed to, he's a diabetes doctor and eating a donut in front of you or something. I mean, you're just like, and those people exist, and you're like, how? And how unhappy are they? So it is mindset. Moods are thoughts. You're on an emotional scale, and there's something called spiral dynamics and integral theory. There's a lot of science around this, is that you're literally just, again, what you just saw in the universe, you're spiraling down or spiraling up. And when you get in your shit, you're spiraling down. So actions are habits, which is universal truth number 2. Truth 1, truth 2, attitudes, truth 3. The story you're telling yourself about you is likely to have some limiting beliefs in it, because between the time of when you're 0 to 18, depending on what childhood you had or what environment you grew up in, these environmental factors are all going to impact, why the kids of the future are having diabetes, is because we eat processed foods, and you see obesity that's rampant, that wasn't rampant 30, 40, 50 years ago. That we've changed our whole diets, and then we've imposed that on kids. Now they have this dopamine for things that aren't good for them. They're not thinking about deferred gratification, they're thinking about instant gratification. And that's what TV does, and social media, and all these different things. And it's why we're in a mental health crisis. Because if you always need something, then it doesn't take very long before you're miserable, before you're literally reprogramming everything. And that's the scary thing about the fragility of mental health for society. But from a leadership standpoint, this intuitive, when you get insights, you can change this. Neuroplasticity has been proven. You can rewire anything in your brain. And your conscious mind, which is your interface, is how you talk, but it's your body language. In sales, 93% is your body language and tone, not what you say. In fact, if you didn't hear me, you would have the same story. It's the craziest thing. And ask any deaf person, they're not missing out on much. because that energy is flowing. And I can take you through some exercises later that you actually can pass thought by not saying anything. Taking these thoughts, habits, and attitudes and saying, who do you want to be? Because right now, this is saying who you are based on science, based on generational trauma, based on your parental habits, not yours. There comes a time that you need to unlearn and reprogram. Not everything serves you well. No matter what parents you had or what they did for you or didn't do for you, at the end of the day, they did the best with what they had at that time. If we start inflicting trauma on other people, we're inflicting trauma on ourselves. It's why the word hate, when we hate other things, we hate ourselves. Because we're all one energy. So why would we actually put that in the world? Because it's just a reflection, cause and effect of who we are. We're going to get in that in a second. But these actions, attitudes, and moods, as you drive them down, your mindset, like you say, I'm going to have a growth mindset. But how many of us actually are fixed on different parts of our life? And when we talk about the self-talk assessment that you took, what is that telling you about what you think about yourself? Not what you tell other people. And it's not that we don't, I just want to be clear. It's not that I'm saying that I don't have negative self-talk. It's just to be aware of it and what is it wanting to teach you? And I'm going to get into that is if you look at everything as learn something or win. And we'll talk a little bit about this instead of failure, then you'll realize every exponential leader actually had that methodology, not the one that said I failed. Every exponential leader has failed many, many, many more times than any one of us. I hope to fail the rest of my life learning. Now, if I fail the same thing over and over again, what do we call that? Insanity.